Hello wonderful person, this is Philip, and in today's video I want to talk a little bit about giving and taking, in particular in a relationship, because I think there is a lot of misunderstanding in this world. And as I was walking on the beach today, I finally understood, or I felt like I finally understood, a particular line from an Austrian song that I had heard years ago and that seemed wise, but I didn't really get it. The line is: Dann hast du gemeint, das ganze Leben besteht aus Nehmen und viel mehr geben. So for those of you who are not familiar with Austrian dialects, this translates to, well, it's a man singing to his grandfather about his memories. And it translates to, and then you said, all of life consists of taking and a lot more giving. So I've always sort of wondered, why is it that he says all of life consists of taking and a lot more giving? Is this just sort of preemptive to make sure people give more than they take, because as soon as someone gives less than he takes, we're going to have some sort of imbalance or problem and people are going to perceive something as unfair? But I think it's much more than that. I think there's a very deep truth that underlies this sentiment. And that's what I came up with on the beach today. Think about this. Think about a relationship, an important relationship that you have. This could be with your brother or sister, your parents, a relationship of a romantic nature, your life partner. A lot of the time you might feel like you are giving a lot and not receiving as much as you're giving. And then you think that's unfair. Why are you the one who has to give and give and give and only get a little bit in return? Well, maybe the other person feels the same way, and then when you talk about it, you almost feel like you're mocking, like the other person is mocking you, like you're mocking each other, trying to be cute or something, because obviously you're giving much more than the other person, but now the other person is telling you, well, you're taking so much and I give all the time. So what's behind all this? Could this be a genuine misunderstanding? And I think it actually is. I think this is something that most of us misunderstand all the time, because it's very simply the case that when you give something to someone else, you think about the other person, you think about whatever you're giving, and you think that what you are giving is good and useful and valuable, and the other person ought to appreciate it, or certainly will appreciate it. And when you are receiving something, a lot of the time the other person has had those same thoughts. But how much do we really know about each other, about our moods, about our preferences, about life in general, how the other person perceives it? So what I'm trying to get at is, think about how much effort you put into, say there is a big holiday, a pagan holiday like Christmas, say. So let's say there's Christmas coming up and you have your family, you want to give them presents, so you think about each one of them, you get presents, and those are presents that you think are going to be really good for each person, and you put a lot of thought and effort into it, and then you give them the present. So from your perspective, every one of them receives a present, or several, from you that is pretty much perfect, as good as it gets. You did your best, you put a lot of effort and thought and love into it, and you're giving that person that gift. What is happening from the perspective of the recipient of any gift? Well, the recipient at any given time has thoughts and wishes and feelings and dreams and wants certain things. And chances are, and this is going to happen more often than not, really, chances are what you give that person is not exactly what he or she has been dreaming about and exactly what that person wants. Sometimes it might happen that way, but a lot of the time it's not going to be that way. So you're going to give something and the person is not even going to understand what it is or what you mean by it. Let me try to give you an example. Oh, I don't have it on me. Please excuse me for a few seconds here. Thank you for your patience. Because I just yesterday got something in the mail that means a lot to me now, and it's not a gift, it's something that I bought for myself, but it has a lot of meaning now compared to what it would have had a week ago, and a lot more, even a week ago it would have had a lot more meaning than what it would have meant to me a month ago. And what I'm talking about is an excellent example of how gifts work and how giving and taking in general probably works a lot of the time, and why we feel that life is unfair and we always give more than we receive. This thing here, I'm not sure how well the camera will focus on it, and it's not all that important either. This is literally a piece of green glass. Green glass, sort of like bottle glass, not exactly, but pretty much. And if you give something like this to someone who doesn't know about it, that person will probably take it and look at it and identify it as a piece of green glass. And maybe that person will think, well, I walk on the beach all the time and sometimes there's glass there and we really want to get rid of the glass, so it's trash, it's dangerous, people might cut their feet when they walk there. So really, it's worth less than nothing to that person because it's a piece of green glass. That could happen. Or maybe that person realizes that this is a gift that you have selected for that person and understands, well, it has sentimental value. This means something, I appreciate the gift, but doesn't think much of it. Still thinks it's a piece of glass that's basically worth nothing. Maybe that person thinks about, oh, you probably bought this, and if you paid retail for it, maybe it was 50 cents or $1. So that person appreciates it somewhat, thinks it's worth 50 cents or $1. Maybe the person you're giving the gift to understands about geology or knows about meteors and identifies this piece of glass as a natural glass, as something called moldavite, which is a glass that was created over 14 million years ago when a particular meteorite hit the Earth in what is now the area between southern Germany and the southern Czech Republic. And it created a little bit of this substance back then. And now people use it as a crystal, even though technically it's not a crystal. It is literally a glass. It's a natural glass. And if you know this, you might realize that a piece like this probably costs 20 or 30 bucks at retail, could be $50. So you say, wow, this person really bought me something special, I appreciate it. But what if you have just been getting into moldavite and you've looked at YouTube videos and read some testimonials online, and you realize out of everything that exists on this planet in the form of crystals, minerals, and kind of gems, this moldavite specifically, this glass that was produced in this one meteorite impact only, about 14.5 million years ago, this has, when you look at it metaphysically, the highest vibration, the highest vibrational energy. So this is very special among all the crystals that you can use for healing, for meditation and everything. And then you think to yourself, wow, this is exactly what I wanted. But there's more than that. Maybe you look at more of the moldavite videos and you see that it basically, whenever you just hold it for a few minutes, it produces a really big change in your life that is usually, if not always, painful, but it is supposedly always for the better. So then you think, wow, this person has just given me something that will transform my entire life rapidly and for the better. This is the most amazing gift I've ever received. Now, chances are when you give someone a piece of moldavite, you probably understand at least that it is a very special stone, if not that it has this potential, this power to transform people's lives. So you're giving it, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I paid 30 bucks for it. That's quite a bit of money to pay for a gift, but it's not all that much compared to what it actually is and what it's going to do for the recipient. This is the most wonderful gift ever. And depending on how much your recipient knows and what your recipient is interested in at the time, this might be worth somewhere between negative, I don't know how, if you want to put a negative sum on it, but less than nothing, in a range of less than nothing to 50 cents to $20 or $30 to, wow, priceless. but you're not always going to hit the nail right on the head, where the person you're giving it to understands it in exactly the way that you meant to give it. So now the person gives you something that is different, but maybe equally significant. The person paid $50 for it. You have no idea. You think it's a 50-cent piece of something. You don't understand the thought behind it or what it's supposed to do for you. So you both thank each other. You think, wow, well, I gave that person something really special and I got something not so special in return. And that is, I think, fundamentally the misunderstanding that happens not just with a Christmas gift, but I think it happens on a daily basis in every relationship that we are in. And that is why we tend to feel like we are the one who gives and gives and gives and never receives anything in return, or receives much less in return. So that's a thought that I wanted to give you, because frankly, I am so, how should I say, so unfamiliar with emotions that it took until now to occur to myself. And I'm thinking maybe some of you haven't thought of it that way. And maybe it can help you have better relationships, be happier, and make the people around you happier. So in that spirit, have a wonderful day.